A special state of emergency has just been declared in Israel after days of intense fighting with the militant group Hezbollah.
Israel's military says it struck hundreds of targets inside Lebanon linked to Hezbollah today. The Lebanese health ministry says at least 274 people have died and more than 1,000 others have been injured. It's one of the deadliest days in the Middle East since the Hamas terror attack nearly 1 year ago. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says they are, quote, changing the balance of power in the north. Israel's military also issued a rare evacuation warning for some civilians in Lebanon as it expands airstrikes in the country.
Hezbollah says it fired dozens of rockets at Israeli military bases in northern Israel this morning. So far, there are no reports of injuries or major damage. The Pentagon says it is sending additional U.S. troops to the Middle East out of an abundance of caution. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley is with us in Beirut. Matt, what exactly does this special state of emergency declared by Israel mean? And what else do we know about the Israeli strikes into Lebanon?
Yeah, well, these sort of states of emergency have been declared before, and this is a power that normally is reserved to the Minister of Defense or other high-level officials in Israel when they feel as though there's about to be an attack that could bring in the civilian population of Israel. Now, again, this isn't the first time, and by Israeli law, it lasts for 48 hours, and that's how long it's going to be lasting. In this case, it gives the military broader powers in order to restrict the movements of Israeli citizens in the state of Israel, which normally is something that they cannot do. But that means that essentially that Israel is going to be under some level of martial law. They can shut down institutions. They can order Israeli citizens to stay at home. So while this isn't an extraordinary measure, it does mark an indication that the Israeli government and military are expecting a pretty muscular attack from Hezbollah. And as we've heard so far, the Israelis have been pummeling southern Lebanon and the Dahia suburb of here in Beirut, just behind me, and also areas in the Bekaa Valley in the east of the country. So it looks as though they are ready for a counterattack by Hezbollah that could really target civilians. Guys.
And Matt, we know here in New York, the United Nations General Assembly begins this week, and we've heard from both President Biden and Iran's president saying they do not want a wider war. So how much of an impact could those remarks have on both Israel and Hezbollah?
Yeah, it's a great question, Zingley. But the fact is that we've heard from Iran's president. We've heard from the United States president saying they don't want a war. We've been hearing that from the leaders of Hezbollah and from the leaders of Israel for the better part of the past year, even as they're continuing to fire missiles at each other over this border. And now, even as the war looks even more likely, a full-on war, the kind of thing that the entire region has been dreading. Now, the Israelis have made it very clear exactly what they want from this. They want to be able to move their tens of thousands of people back to their homes in northern Israel. That, they said, is what they need in order to stop. But we've also heard from Israeli officials that they want more. They want to see Hezbollah withdrawn to at least what sounds like the Litani River, which is part of the United Nations resolution that was passed all the way back in 2006. So they want more demands. It doesn't sound like a lot of international pressure or words from the Iranians or the Americans are going to stop what's coming. Guys.
Matt Bradley, always great reporting. Thanks so much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.